Okay, I am going to do this one more time. I think hurricane season is about over, and I'm hoping that as we move into winter, things calm down a bit around the world. But I thought there's just so many incredible weather events happening that are showing up in my news feed that I thought I would. Well, first of all, I did a little research into the ones I'm going to show you today, and I do think they're significant enough to to merit being mentioned. And these are things you're probably not going to see for the most part in the news. So if you're interested, let's start off with what's going on with tropical storm or typhoon, I guess is what it was, Typhoon Lan, that pushed over Japan, right? And this is it. Now, this is Japan, so it pushed up here, and then what happened is quite interesting because of the irregularities, and I'm going to take a look at the jet stream in just a moment, but the jet stream dips down in a very unique way, and it's been causing a risk of this sort of perfect storm. If you saw that movie where two storms combined to create one giant superstorm, and that actually happened. And that's what we're looking at here. It looks like a giant cyst on the earth. But anyway, it's bad, folks. We're very lucky, in fact, that really nobody lives in the Aleutian Islands out here. This is just active volcano region and so forth in these teeny tiny little islands. But right here I've got the green dot, and you can see 55.9 feet. That's the height of the waves. So we're looking at the ocean here. And we're seeing at times they were approaching 60-foot waves in this storm. And if I turn this off, and I got to keep moving here, but look at the size of this. Now, if you want a comparison, think about that size, just the super high waves right here in this deep red, and then there's the United States. Okay, so how many states would be completely or almost completely covered by that one region of 60-foot or approaching 60-foot waves? All right, it's a big deal. In fact, if you look around the globe here, just scanning the Pacific Ocean, there's anything close to this going on right now. That's a superstorm. In fact, I'll turn on the waves again. If we go to the air, you can see again. See how it's oblong, kind of an eye? It's two storms that have combined. And if you look at the size of that kind of circulation compared to the United States, it would just about cover half of the United States, right? So it's an incredible storm, and we're lucky that it didn't wind up going further west or heading into an area where, there's significant population and so forth, right? Anyway, I wanted to mention that. Next, I think I'm going to move down here and talk about Guatemala. If I just fast forward a couple days, that was on the 25th. We're on the 27th now. There she is. Okay. Now, setting up here is a really interesting system where we have a system over here and we have a system over here, if you remember. And I think this turned into Philip right here that pushed past Florida and is now headed up the coast. I'll talk about that further in a second. But it created, you see how it's like a conveyor belt pushing the wind across the country, and this actually did turn into a tropical storm. 5 people died. It's really something. Let's see. Is that it? Yeah. 5 dead, and floods hit Central America. There was a lot of flooding and intense rain coming down, as well as a tropical storm that came to shore. So really amazing. Again, just the severity of the storms that are coming in this year seems to be quite a bit higher than usual, customary. So that was interesting. Now, this storm moved up very fast, and I'll show you why, because the next thing I want to do is go to the jet stream and show you what's happened here recently. If I go way up in the altitude, we'll move on up, and this is pressure, right, HPA. So the lower the pressure, the higher up in the altitude, in the atmosphere you are. 500, we're talking about, jet stream, very, very high in the atmosphere. But take a look at this. We're on the 28th. I'm going to go to the 20. Yeah, let's see, actually. did I want to mention this? I guess I'll mention what happened down here. See this flow? Let's see, on the 28th, maybe it was the 20th. There you go. It's kind of red. This really picked up speed right here. So we're in the middle of kind of the desert, right? This is northern Argentina. And just if you think you've had a bad day, let's look here. Okay. They had, I mean, this is not like 1 or 2 baseball size. 1,000, more than 1,000 buildings damaged from this hail falling. It was a really significant event. And this is, remember, kind of in the desert, all right, the northern end of the desert here. So this is really unusual to have hail like this. And if that's not bad enough, these folks in a different town in Argentina the next day actually had almost 5 feet of hail in 15 minutes fall in their town. All from that little, looks innocent enough, right? But it's because of the way the wind's circulating and the intensity of our atmosphere right now and the energy that's moving around. It's just creating these huge, very tall clouds that, anything can happen. The massive amounts of rain and flooding that are going on everywhere. But interesting time. So I thought I'd mention that one. Now I really do want to go up in the atmosphere. Let's go up. And we'll go to... get a look right now. Maybe the 28th might be more interesting. Here we go. We'll stick with the 29th. In the United States, we have these things, and you may have heard of them in the news, called Arctic blasts. And the news has been saying, we're experiencing our first one now, right? Well, according to Meteorology 101, there are 2 jet streams, an Arctic and a subtropic. The subtropic comes across the lower U.S. here and around the world, of course. And these 2 go up and down and so forth, right? But I just want to point out that there is no longer, and there has not been for quite a while really, a serious subtropic jet stream. And so there's a lot of theories as to why and what's going on. But this is not just an Arctic blast coming out of Canada. The Arctic jet stream is bouncing way up northern Alaska and then shooting straight down all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. And folks, people in Miami are wearing coats at the end of October. Okay, so that's strange. And this, of course, is pushing up and hitting that warm weather from Tropical Storm Philip that's pushing up the coast. It got caught in this kind of conveyor. It's being pulled very fast up the coast. That warm weather hitting this cold weather. The Northeast is about to see some, storm surge, high tides, and probably some snow and things like that as well. But anyway, this is extreme. In fact, it's not just the U.S. If we move over to Europe, look at this. Just shooting down. And this has moved a bit over, but the UK was getting hit yesterday. France, Germany, Italy. You can see Italy kind of taking it here. And so I've got a couple articles. Central America. There you go. Massive storm sweeps through Central Europe, leaving at least 5 dead. So this storm and this weather pattern just brought tons of cold weather and rain just blasting across Europe, where earlier, just a week ago, a couple weeks ago, and then all through the summer, you have to remember that Italy and parts of Europe were seeing unprecedented heat and drought and so forth. So this is a serious cold blast, and again, you can just see that the jet stream is coming from, Greenland is what this is, and dipping way down into Europe before it turns and heads back up into Russia. All right, so strange, and I could show you some other things about the jet stream, but I'm going to stop there for the sake of time. What else did I want to show you? We've got, earthquakes. If you're into earthquakes, this is quite weird, okay? Where do I start? Well, let's start here, all right? Here is volcanoes and earthquake map. Admittedly, this map sometimes does combine different sources, so you'll see like the same earthquake show up more than once sometimes. They usually straighten it out, but it happens, okay? But notice, all right, there's the top of the map, right? Let's keep scrolling. Whoops. We're back on, boy, did I ever lose that effect. All right, so anyway, here we go. We scroll up. Oh, no. Did they remove? There they are. All right. Look at that. I mean, you have to go to like 2 weeks in order to see this, and these did not happen 2 weeks ago, October 28th. So, funny stuff going on here, but at the same time, I'm not going to talk about what's going on with the data and the reporting, but look at the earthquake swarm, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4 in magnitude, 5.7, 5.5, 5.5, that's probably a duplicate, and then a 6.0. And where is this? It's not even on the map, okay? You see the fault line come up? All right, let's look at it. USGS, single data source, okay? And here they are. I can't even get the map to stay there. It's so far north. In fact, you really can't click on it. You see if you look in this lower left corner, when I click, they pop up and, oh, that's stuck. Sometimes they disappear. You can't even get them to stick. There it is, 5.8. So there's at least 3. This is a single data source. And that, I want to show you. All right, so there's the island. And we're way up. This is Greenland, all right? We're looking at the North Pole. In fact, the North Pole is right here. Those earthquakes happen right here. And if you've watched my previous videos going back to like February of 2017, I made some comments about how this is a very active, in my opinion, hydrothermal vent. In fact, it's not just my opinion. Some cables in an underwater, submarine melted, and they just about lost the submersible over this because they thought it was a dormant chain, and it turns out it's highly active. Well, now we've got an earthquake swarm at the North Pole, and I can't tell you how strange that is. That is unusual, and there's a lot of implications of that. And it's something we need to take seriously. So I wanted to mention it in this video how difficult it is. They don't even make the maps go up this high, okay? And there's an earthquake swarm. I don't know how to really impress on you. I can't even get it to come down. They're barely on the map, USGS. This is so unusual. The maps don't even accommodate earthquakes in that area, and that's strange, okay? This is the very northern tip of the mid-Atlantic rift that comes all the way down and basically splits the Earth in two, like an egg, all the way down to the equator at least, and actually all the way down to Antarctica. So that's kind of a big deal. So I thought I would mention that and just kind of show you how weird that is. Okay, last thing, and I'm not going to spend any time on this, but there has been some reporting. And I'm just going to mention some YouTube channels without going into it. All right, you can't see it on this map. But this YouTube channel called Mr. MBB333 is very good at reporting on Earth weather and geological events and so forth. And he's had some reports about the Mississippi River running dry or drier than usual, and some interesting pictures. I couldn't validate that, but I will show you. And this is another person that came out. He saw those videos from this Mr. MBB333. I'm going to plug his site here real quick. I'm not going to show you the video, but Zachary Bauer, I do not know this channel, but in searching for information about the Mississippi, this was a good video. So if you want to look this up, River Flight over the Mississippi Drought. I disagree with a couple things he says. He talks about how, it looks like the fields are, you can see there in that thumbnail, are dying, like from drought. But that's not the case. It's end of season. Corn is being picked. Soybeans are still kind of coming in. So it's not a drought. That's the important thing to note here, is that In this video, he points out up here there's a few, well, you can see, looks like 3, but there's more than that, lined up here, barges that are being held because it's so shallow, they can't get them to come south. Okay? This is a big deal, and there's a lot of speculation going around the internet about why the Mississippi is going dry. I will tell you, well, it's not a drought, and I looked this up. Here's the Midwest. You know, you're looking at drought conditions. So this is recent drought, but we can come down here and look and say, all right, so what do you want to look at? 3 months ago? And it pulls up the picture for you. There's no drought here. There's some drier times, but this is not going to slow down the Mississippi River. So what if we look at, 1 year ago? No drought whatsoever. Mississippi runs up, of course, over here. Down the side of Illinois and so forth, right? So what do we need to look at? Start of the calendar year. There is no drought, folks. There's no drought. And yet the Mississippi is running quite dry. I also saw a report from another gentleman who is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the Allegheny River comes through Pittsburgh. He actually went down and took photographs of the Allegheny, and it's running dry. Very, very, very unusually low. And of course, the Allegheny joins another river, turns into the Ohio River, which turns into the Mississippi River. So all of these are connected, but very speculative with regard to why these rivers are running dry. Nobody really knows. My favorite, not that I subscribe to this theory, but I don't know, is that there have been some earthquakes on the New Madrid fault line, and they believe that there could, some people have said, just theorizing, that there is a fault line that's just, sucking the water into the earth. I don't know. That's the best I got for you. I really don't know why this is happening. It's not being reported anywhere, like really anywhere. So I don't even know how real this is, but I thought it was unusual enough to mention in the video. All right. I could go on, but I won't. It's been 17 minutes. This is a long video, and I covered a lot of stuff, weather events. I hope this helps to provide some context as we think about the weather and the extremes that we're seeing here in the United States or wherever you are in Europe, in Japan and so forth. It just helps to understand that the extreme weather we're seeing is actually a global phenomenon right now, okay? And I'm not here to speculate on what might be causing this. I have some ideas, but there's a lot of theories. I encourage you to go out there and look around and see what you think. If you have any thoughts, share it in the comments section. But I thought I would share just a little snapshot into what's going on the past couple days around the world with strange and interesting weather. Have a great day.